When people play Minecraft, they often only get to experience the initial basic progression features present in the game. These are things like deciding where to put your base, building your house, going mining, making a farm, going to the nether, and killing the ender dragon. And then maybe, with each playthrough, you explore one or two aspects of the game you've never tried before, whether it's redstone or taking on your first trial chamber. Now, is this a problem? No, not really. This is a perfectly fine way to play the game. But personally, I find there is a much better way to enjoy Minecraft, and that is through playing on a forever world. Like most games, Minecraft can be played as little or as much as you possibly want, but the difference with Minecraft is you don't actually lose any progress, meaning you can stop playing on a world and return to it months later with it remaining exactly as you left it. Now, of course, there may be updates with new features for you to explore, but everything you've achieved in that world is still present. Why is this relevant? Well, it's the basic premise of a forever world in Minecraft. A forever world refers to a survival world that a player uses each time they feel the urge to play Minecraft, rather than creating a new world each time they want to hop on or when a new update releases. This removes the early stages of playing where you have little to no resources and go through the same progression system as all your other worlds. While many people, myself included, enjoy the progression of early game Minecraft, by always creating new worlds, you miss out on a lot of what the game has to offer. See, whether you're playing on a new world or the same world consistently, there's a decent chance you'll get tired of it and move on to a different game or hobby for a while before you inevitably make your return to the game. With a forever world, each time you make your return, you've already established yourself with a base and tools. This allows you to focus on aspects of the game you haven't tried before. You can now choose to focus on making a large village and expanding your base, or trying to get a mace from the trial chamber, or trying to collect every music disc and armor trim. Many of the features currently in the game get overlooked simply because they aren't part of the game's core progression system. And while some may say this is flawed game design, Minecraft at its core is a sandbox game, intended for allowing players to express their creativity. These features, while sure not required to beat the base game, allow for you to do a lot of new interesting things and find new ways to express yourself in game. Not to mention that by playing on a singular world, it will only get grander in scale, meaning each time you hop on your world, it's going to be more full and impressive than the last. This is a sense of reward you really can only get from playing on one world. So the basic premise of a forever world is a world that you stick to and play on every time you feel like playing Minecraft. The problem for most people is, how do you actually make one? And no, I don't just mean creating a world, as obviously everybody knows how to do that. What I really mean is, how do you make the world last without getting bored or feeling that desire to create a new world? Well, to put it blatantly, you're gonna have to be intrinsically motivated to a certain extent for a lot of this to work, as Minecraft at the end of the day is a game for expression and creation with some survival and roguelike gameplay features. But there are a variety of ways to stay motivated and entertained from one world. Now, I do have 2 full videos discussing some ways to never get bored of one world on my channel, but I'm gonna go over a few of what I believe are the most prominent and what I recommend using to avoid burnout. But if I were you, I would check those videos out after this one. Now, if you do go on to find any of these tips helpful, make sure to hit the like button to show me you guys enjoy this type of content, and subscribe so you never miss out on future content just like this. First off, if you're someone who just loves the survival aspect of Minecraft and struggles to stay interested when building, my solution is simply just collecting. There are so many different artifacts and rare items in Minecraft to go out of your way to find, and collecting them all is a great way to never get bored. Items you could collect include music discs, rare items like totems of undying, all the pottery shards, maxing out all the different tools in the game, as many people still have never gotten a mace in survival or gotten both variants of the trident enchantments, or you could get a full set of armor for each armor trim. With the items you've collected, you can then build some form of museum or trophy room to display said items in. And once you've done all that, you could take it a step further and try something like collecting every single block in the game. This provides you with so much to do. Getting the armor trims prompts you to go out and explore many different locations, makes you go mining for all the resources you'll need to create the armor, and then you have to build somewhere to display them. By collecting different artifacts, it creates an insane amount of content for the player that requires them to leave their base and go out on an adventure to find them, ultimately recreating that early game feeling people love so much of exploring and discovering. Now, outside of the roguelike elements of Minecraft, we have to take a look look at building, which, if we're being honest, is the most prominent aspect of the game. Because no matter who you are, a forever world in Minecraft will only be successful if building is something you enjoy, because otherwise you will inevitably run out of survival content to explore. That's when it's up to you to create your own content, which can all be done through building. There's two different aspects to building in a forever world that are important to discuss. First being your approach to building, and second being what you actually build. Let's first take a look to how you should approach building. Basically, why you build things and how to do it in a way that keeps it interesting. The first tip to keep building from getting boring is to have builds for literally everything. And by everything, I mean every functional block in the game, rather than putting everything you need in one condensed base. You can basically make an entire village out of it. You can have a blacksmith for the anvil, a wizard tower or library for the enchantment table, you can have a separate mythical shop for brewing stands, you can have a bakery for furnaces, and then an industrial building for blast furnaces. This doesn't have to stop at functional blocks either. You can make barns for farm animals, different habitats for other animals you collect, like having a little aquarium for fish or a terrarium for frogs. This yet again creates so much more content for you, as now you're spacing out all your necessities in a way that not only expands your village, but also keeps you motivated when building, as the builds have an actual purpose and incentive to building them. Now, the second tip to keep in mind when approaching building is simply to have multiple projects going on at once. I will say this applies more to bigger builds like castles, but can be very helpful when you feel the need to switch up your gameplay, as being in the same area, doing the same thing for so long will inevitably get boring. Cycling through around 3 separate builds keeps all of them a little more interesting and fresh when working on each one. And the third tip to approaching building is simply to build in different areas. Once you get to a certain point where you feel your village or base is fully established, you can take your most valuable tools and items and leave your village where it is and move somewhere else and start working on a new one. And if you really want to take this a step further, you could actually just leave your tools and your items in that village and start as if it was a new world. This new base should have a different aesthetic as well to keep it interesting, and I'd highly recommend when moving, you relocate to a biome that's vastly different from your last, like moving from a desert to a snow biome. And you don't have to abandon your last village either. If you decide there's something you want to expand upon there later on, you can always go back, as it will still be there, and eventually you can connect the different bases or villages you have made across your world for one large kingdom. In short, these tips for approaching building help your forever world actually last, as they add variety to the building experience to make sure things don't end up feeling mundane, and gives you more incentive to actually create said builds. Now that I've discussed how you should approach building, let's talk about what to actually build to keep things interesting. While some of these ideas are similar to those above, they're definitely important to clarify. First off, and as silly and simple as it sounds, you just gotta try new things. If you always build the same style house or the same castle in the same format, things are gonna get boring. This is why I find it important to not only create builds that are different from your usual, but use techniques you've never tried before either. Whether it's a new roof design, integrating some redstone into your build, or using a different set of blocks to create a new aesthetic. Minecraft's go-to building blocks for most people are usually just some form of wood mixed with some form of stone. I prompt you to try creating builds with different aesthetics and use blocks like brick, copper, terracotta, or go the simple route and even try integrating new wood types into your builds that you don't usually use. As to what exactly the build should actually be, that's really up to you, but I really recommend trying out new things. Like, instead of always just creating a medieval village, which is most people's go-to, make a western style town, or a jungle village in the trees, or a beachy pirate town. There's so many things you can do. Why limit yourself to one format? While these are just a few tips, these are by far the most important to keep in mind when trying to play on a forever world. And playing on a forever world in general is, in my humble opinion, the best way to play Minecraft, as you really get so much more out of the game and get to try so many things you otherwise never would have gotten around to. But what do you think about a forever world? Do you want to try one of your own, or do you have one of your own, or would you rather stick with the 2-week phase? I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas, so leave any you have down in the comments below. Now, if you did enjoy the video, a like would be greatly appreciated and helps the channel out more than you could imagine. And if you really enjoyed the video, subscribe. It's completely free and ensures you never miss out on another video just like this one. That's it for today, guys. I do have 2 other videos on this channel that go more in depth on this topic if you guys want to check them out. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.